So we talked about the get date, which is kind of like a built-in function within the SQL server, right? Which returns you the date, current date type of thing. There are several other helpful functions, okay, in the SQL. Specifically, the string manipulation functions. Those are very helpful. And I'll show you guys some example. These are most commonly used. There are pretty much tons of functions, right? But we will focus on what's commonly used and how can we apply this type of functions. So let me just go over quickly first. So where these functions apply is in your where clauses, right? Let's say user has entered some bad data. They put some spaces before they actually start typing anything in the like a first name, right? So you will see you will see something like this. Okay? Let me go and enter one patient, right, with 45, and we'll enter something like this, right? So if I'm doing on the screen, right, user intentionally or unintentionally, they can put some spaces around it. And then when I insert this record, right, and then I try to find the first name guy, select star from patient where first name, where legal first name is equal first name, right? So I'm expecting to, actually let me go and change here, XYZ, right, ABC. We'll enter, create one more record. But I already have first name record, so it will not work. So if I try to find something like this, ABC, XYZ, I cannot find that record because we have the space here in the first name, okay? Just because user unintentionally entered, right? So in order to find this type of records, you can use the built-in functions. There are some of the built-in functions like ltrim, rtrim. So what they do is they trim the spaces from the names. Okay, so you can apply on the fields, your columns, ltrim, something like that. Okay, and if I run it, it will trim the left side of space from the name. So if I run it now, I can find this XYZ record, even though it has a space in the name. So it does not update anything, okay? It just runs the query. When you run the query, it applies ltrim on all these column values and then try to match up with XYZ. Okay. So it does not update any records. It's just only during your queries. Okay. Same way I can do rtrim, right? If there is any right side spaces, I can do that and it will find the record. Now here, I applied rtrim, but this one has a left side spaces, right? So that's the reason it did not apply anything because it still has spaces. So I can do kind of like a nested function, ltrim. So now nesting, function within a function. So whatever the output of this function is, it will be input of this function. So I can do the nesting. Now this one will work again fine, and I can find my record, right? So those are some of the helpful functions, and this is how you can use it for trimming out the space. Yeah.
In this situation, would you like you'd have to know that there's the spaces.
Yeah, so you have to go and analyze the data, right? You have to run the simple queries first. Oh, this record has space. Since you can't update it, how you can basically still write your queries so that you can find it, right? Okay. Same way you have, so we saw the ltrim, rtrim. Now we have a left function, right? So what the left does is it basically left, if you apply on a column, right? And say, let's say first 3 letters, okay? And then you can say ERI. So it will trim, it will compare only first 3 characters basically, okay, for the column. So it will, what it does is it strips out, it compares only 3 characters, right? a left takes in the column name and then how many characters you want to compare and what's supposed to match with, right? That's all it does. Again, you can do same way right? Same way you can apply through this one and RIC, right, in our example, and I can find those type of records. Okay, so that would be the left and right, right? Returns the right part of character string, left part of character string. And this is more like a syntax, okay? This is how you have to use it. Left, character expression, which is whatever the column name you are specifying and how many digits you are trying to get. That's all. Then you have some other functions which you can apply on the actual columns. Let's say I'm selecting legal first name, right? And we don't have this one, assume. So we'll run this. Okay. So here, it's returning something like this. But what if I want to return uppercase, right? Everything in the uppercase. So I can apply this function in the actual select statement. And then when I run it, it will return all the column values as uppercase. Same way, if I do lower here, so it will return all the column names as lowercase. Okay. So without updating, you can change the data on the fly, right? This is what it is. Okay. A replace function, right? So if you have some bad data, right, some weird characters, you can use the replace basically function in there and actually change the values in the columns. So let's come back here and let's see if I can apply replace here. So let's say instead of E, right, in the Eric's name, instead of E, I want to change everything to R, right? So this is what it will do. So now anywhere you have an E, it will change to R, capital. Okay. Anywhere in the name. So let's say if I put legal first name here, right? So that I can compare what it did. So this is the original value and it changed to Rick, right? Everywhere, wherever there is a R, it will change it to, wherever there is a E, it will change it to R. So like here, in this one, Eileen, Irene, I think she put everywhere, right? So these are some of the things available as well. Manipulates the data, right? Again, the substring function, right? There is one more function called substring. You can actually get the part of the string. So if I want AT, I can use substring and strip out only that character string and compare with something else. Okay. So there are some examples here you can work through when you are looking at home for the string and substring and other things. Okay. So like here, I have this particular example. Instead of typing, I'm just going to use this one. Okay. So I'm taking a substring, right? First word and first character, right? I'm stripping out. And here I'm starting with the first one and taking the third one. All three characters, right? So first word only. So it acts more like a left, right? I'm getting the first character for the string here. And then how many additional characters you want to strip out and print it out here. That's what the first one is. Second one says, give me first three characters, right? If I change to 2, starting position would be 2. So it will start from the second one. So I'm going to see R here in the first one, okay? So I can specify, okay, what position and how many characters you want to strip out from the string. Okay. All right. let's take a look at the concat function here. This is one of the helpful function, right? This is, I think you guys will use it a lot. Actually, programmers use this a lot. Okay, you may or may not use it if you're writing simple queries. But this one, what it does is concates all the three strings here. So legal first name dash legal last name. This is how it will print it out. It's for combining the strings. Okay, so it will return something like this in a single column. Okay, this value. Now, if I don't want to use the function concat, then I can do something like that: legal first name plus legal last name as full name. Okay. From patient. This one and those other ones both are same. So it will do the same thing. So it will concate all the three columns for this column, and put this string in the middle. Okay, and print it out. You can use either one, concat or plus sign. That should work fine. And char index is stripping out the index from the specific position. So let me go back here and run it. So let me run it and then I'll explain what. Okay. So what it's looking for is this is our first name column, right? Then this is the function I have applied on this column, first name. And I'm trying to find what is the index of I. So in the ERIC, right, Eric, the index of I is number 3, ERI, right? That's what is printing out here, ERIC. If you have, then I'm printing out index of J. Index means what position that particular character is. Okay. Now, probably you guys probably will never use it from the QA standpoint, but this is programmers, they use a lot when they are writing bigger programs. So that's where it's very helpful, right? So this function is available from the programming standpoint as well in the SQL. Now, any programming language, you're gonna take a look at it, right? Whether you take a look at Ruby programming or Java or SQL, they all have similar kind of functions for the string manipulation. So just the syntax gonna be a little bit different, but logic will remain same. Okay, any programming language, you will take a look at it. All right. Let's go back up. There is a one function called reverse. So just like the name says, right, reverse. So what it will do, it will reverse the string and print it out. Eric, so it will start with CRIE, right? It will reverse. So there are some practical usage like a password and those things, right? We store in the tables database. We typically reverse it. Okay, well you don't store the same password because it's easier to figure out. So we do all kind of things. You can reverse it, you can encrypt it, all different things. All right, so that nobody can just looking at it. Okay, what is this? They can't figure out. What is it? Yeah. Yep. Okay, so this one was for your homework, right? For session number 3. So we just finished the session number 3. So make sure you mark this one down. All the exercises here. Okay. I think it will take you roughly about 30 minutes to finish this one at home. Work through. I mean, if you work through, they're small exercises, not much bigger or anything. Just play around with the functions, and you should be all right.
So do we just follow the word and name?
Yep, that's right. That's right. Well, the exercise is, yep, I think up to page 44. All right, marked it. Good. Okay, so now we're gonna dive into real stuff. Little bit advanced stuff. Okay, little bit advanced stuff. Okay, real stuff means little bit more advanced. Um, but as a QA, right? Uh, you guys may not write the SQL scripts a lot, which is nothing but like mini programs. But then when you are executing it, right, executing a lot of bad jobs, backend processes, that's where it will help you a lot more. Okay, if you are normally testing like a web application and all those things, you probably will utilize the joins and those functions, some of the functions and joins and those things for writing the queries, where condition, where clauses, how can I pull the data. But this one will be helpful when you are doing a lot more backend testing. Okay, backend testing meaning you are testing the lot of times the companies, they have nightly batch processes, which does a lot of processing. So like 401k, I mean, I don't know how many of you have like 401k at work, right? But if you go to the website of that company at 5 p.m. or 7 p.m., they start the batch process and they calculate all your daily value for the 401k amount, whatever you invested. And that's pretty much built on the SQL typically. All the logic they write in the SQL. So if you are a tester on one of those type of projects, that means you have to know a lot more advanced stuff. Okay, means like how do you test those things? How do you compare the results? What's coming? What's output and everything? Plus, you will need to write a little bit more complex SQL statements than just simple joins. Okay, so that's where it will help you this one. And as a QA, you don't know which project you're going to be working on. Okay, so just make sure you understand the concept. Okay, here. All right, so session 4, right? We will talk on that. By the way, the SQL script, right? So what is really a SQL script? It's nothing but like a collection of bunch of SQL statements. So you do something, then you execute. You have additional statements to do additional processing on that. So for example, here, right? So if I execute these statements from top to bottom, it is kind of like my SQL script here, right? Because I have multiple statements here, and I can execute them together, and I can do some processing. So here, this statement has this output, right? First one has this output. I can write additional statement to utilize this output and then do something, maybe some other calculation or processing. Okay, so these are kind of like a mini programs. What you write is like a SQL scripts as well. You can call it SQL scripts here. Okay. So we already looked at like insert, select, update. They all commands can be part of your SQL scripts. Okay, but it also you might also have like a program in logic as well. If then else, some other conditional statements and those things. So we'll see how we can use those and create like write some mini scripts. First of all, we start with how do we learn some basic SQL scripts, right? So here, if you guys notice here, right, this number 10 here, right? So this is called commented out code here. So if I select that, right, from here to here, SQL will ignore this line. Okay. So if you want to comment out something in your script, you can use 2 dashes or more than 2 dashes, right? You can if you use 1 dash, SQL does not recognize, right? Here, then it will throw me an error, but I have to put 2 dash in order to comment out particular line. If I want to comment out the whole, this all lines, right? So either I do this, go to each line and do this. Okay, so that means these lines, SQL, if I run it, there is nothing to execute. It says command completed successfully because everything is commented out. So that's a one way of doing commenting out in the scripts. Okay. Now, another way is, and simpler way is, you comment out the code block, multiple lines together, by putting this slash star and closing out the comment by ending slash star. Okay, so I can do like that as well. You see the way you can do it, slash star, slash star. Now, if I execute this line, nothing to execute, right? But I can still select here, okay, and execute those particular line block. You guys understand the difference, right? So these are very helpful. I think you guys are struggling, right? When you sometimes you forget to select. Instead of that, you can just put this type of code block to comment out, and if you don't want to delete or anything like that. So that way it's a lot easier for you guys to manage the scripts. So we looked at the single line comment right here, dash dash, or multi-line comment, which is something like this, slash star and ending slash star. All right. Any question on the commenting? Anything that you want to, you might want to write a comment about what is this query about, right? So here I could say this is query number 8, and you can put the whole statement here that you have in the book. What is the query, right? About whatever the requirement you specify, right? So this one, cell return patient in Columbus and is married, right? Something like that. You can put as many line of comment. I mean, if you want a couple of lines, you can add another line as well. Doesn't matter, wherever you think necessary. It's up to you. I mean, typically a good code or good script would have some type of comment. What is this script is about? So just looking at it, I can't understand what this query is trying to do. Right? Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next one. So the T-SQL variable, okay, the SQL variables. Now variable they are not specific to any programming language. Okay. I think those of you attended QA class, right? Dilip went over the whole programming that thing, and he explained about the variables as well, right? Little bit in there. But this variable concept is for any programming, whether it's a Java, SQL, whatever you do. Okay. But what the variable is essentially, they are like a temporary objects in the memory, which can hold a single value. Okay, single value. So think through, if you have a calculator, right, and you do memory plus. Let's say you type in some number, you do memory plus. So memory, it will store in the memory. As long as your calculator is on, you can recall that value. Basically, if you do memory recall, it will show you that it will put the value back, right? Let me show you an example here. So if I have this calculator, right, and I do 98 multiplied by 67, right, equal, and I do memory plus, right? Now I clear out here and I do memory recall, then I'll get the value back. As long as your calculator is on, this value is available. If I close out the calculator, go back, and try to do memory recall, I don't even have it. It's gone from the memory. So it's only when you are running the program, okay? When you are running your SQL scripts, the variables are available. As soon as your script ends, everything is gone, okay, afterwards. So it's a temporary values the variables can hold in the memory. So what I mean is that, so I'm gonna do example here. The way you can declare the variables, right, in the SQL. Let's see how we can declare first. you can do something like this at first name. So declare is this is a required word keyword. This is the variable name at first name. Okay, this is how you can declare it. And then you have to specify type, data type, which is varchar 15. Let's say varchar 15, right? So I declared the variable in my script. Then I can set some value. It holds some value, right? So I can set some value at first name is equal Herschel, right? You have to say set at first name is equal what value you want to hold in the memory. Okay? And then let's say I want to do something about it. For here in my script, I just want to print it. So I can say print at first name. So I have 3 simple lines in my script and I'm running it. And I'm gonna see Herschel here, okay, being printed. If I say Jerry, okay, I can see whatever the Jerry here. Now the good thing about variable is you can change the value as many times as you want. Okay. So I print it here, first name, right? Then I'm gonna change it to something else, to John's, okay? Then I'll print it again. So I'll see Jerry first and then John's second. So now I'm gonna see Jerry printed out and then John's as well, right? So these are like this is how you can declare it with declare at first name varchar 15. This is how you can set a value. Set at first name is equal Jerry, and then whatever else you want to do with that variable. Now whatever SQL data type, right? You can assign any of those data types. So here I have int. Then I can assign some 0 and 1. If I declare as integer, I can assign number value only. Okay. If I try to assign string values, ABC, it will throw me an error. Okay, because you can't assign the numbers to the integers, strings to the integer. Okay. So in your booklet, right? So this is where I'm declaring it. I'm printing it out here. Let's take a look at the example number 3. Okay. And I'll let you work through example number 3 and 4. Okay. So here I'm declaring a variable, last name varchar 50, right? Then I'm using the variable in the select statement now. Select at last name equals whatever the legal first name from patient, where patient ID equals 1001, and print last name. So what is supposed to do here? You guys understand what it's doing here? So I declare the variable, then I am assigning the column value into the variable, okay, where patient ID equals 1001. Then I'm printing it out. Okay. So when I run it, it's gonna print Snyder. Okay. So because this query, let's say I get rid of it, I run this query, it has a value of Snyder, right? So I'm just populating the variable with the Snyder value for this patient, and then I'm running it. Now I could have do something else as well. I could have inserted into another table this value and all those things. I could have built on top of the variables. Let's take a look at one more example. Okay, so this example, I'll let you guys read it and tell me what it's doing. So I'm declaring the variable here, right? So I declare a variable, then setting the value to %t%, and I'm using that variable in my where clause. Okay, so it will have same effect. So this one will have same effect as something like this. So these four statements, right, and this last two are same. Okay, because if I have to do it without variable, then I would be doing something like this, right? Like e%. So it gives me what are the matching records. But here I am using the variable, right? I'm declaring a variable, assigning some value, then I am passing that to my where clause. Okay, legal last name like whatever value. So this variable, this value will be %e%. So it will have same results, 7 records, or whatever the number of records you have. If I execute both together, right, they both have same number of records, 7 and 7. Okay. Now, why do you want to use this one and not use this one? Right? Because if both can do, both are doing the same work, then what's the point of creating the variables, right? The good thing about variable is you can just change it here, right? If you have a long list of statements, you just change the variable value at one place, and it will, wherever that variable is used, it will be, new values will be used. Okay, that's a powerful usage of the variable. So if I have one statement, right? If I have this one, like let's say legal last name, this is legal last name, legal first name, or you can use it here, legal first name, like at search criteria. So I can use it something like this. So it will match first name or last name with the same value, right? If I had hard coded, I have to go and change it here, go ahead and change it here, multiple places. That's why you want to use variables typically in the scripts. Okay. Does everybody understand the purpose, right? What's the point of using the variables? Okay. So let's do a couple of things. I'll let you guys work through number 3 and number 4. Okay. See if you guys get hang of the syntax and those things. Okay. Get familiar with that. Number 3 and number 4. Okay. Other ones are straightforward. So let's just focus on number 3 and number 4.
Good.